I really wasn't sure what to do with the bright and morning star. Okay, if you start looking at it, it's not a common reference. You don't see it in other places. In Numbers 24:17, we find a reference to there shall be a star out of Jacob, and this is a prophecy of Balaam the son of Beor. And the bright and morning star is identified as Jesus in Revelation 22:16. We up yet? No. It says, I, Jesus, have sent my angel to give you this testimony for the churches. I am the root and offspring of David and the bright morning star. And this is sort of a fulfillment on the prophecy that's also found in Revelation 2:28 to the church at Thyatira, to the one who is victorious and who does my will to the end. It says, I will also give that one the morning star. So that's sort of it, okay? So when you think of Jesus as the bright morning star, what occurs to you?
Well, it's something we look for in the sky, or at least I look for. If you're talking literally, I look up there, and it's comfort to me to see where the morning star is.
Okay. Now you realize I live with you, and I know you never see anything pre-dawn. I mean, okay, all right. But I know what you're saying. Nice comment. Thank you. All right.
It's before I go to bed.
All right, okay. All right, so the morning star is that star that shows up right before the sun comes up. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I do see it at night. I thought of it as that first star you see at night, which is probably a planet, but
Yeah, okay, yeah.
is it actually morning or the one that's there?
Well, you know, the few commentators who were speculating on this indicate, you know, that the literal, you know, is that star right before the sun comes up that you see on the horizon. You know, it's a bright star. And I'm sure there are bright stars right before the sun goes down, but I don't think that's the one they're talking about. All right, so that's the literal. What else do you think about?
It's a new beginning.
Oh, sorry.
It's always there.
A constant. Okay, always there. All right.
What about in olden times when they traveled, they would get up early morning, would it be their guiding light?
Okay. Directional. It provides direction. Very good. I like that.
So it's a constant and a directional.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Illuminates. Very good.
Reassuring to know that it's always there.
Okay.
Count on what God has set in place.
All right. I like that. Count on a reassurance. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I always think of the phrase, it's darkest before the dawn.
Okay.
So for the morning star to be shining, it's kind of like when everything else is really dark. You have that.
Okay. The darkness before the dawn is darkest before the dawn. And you didn't use this word, but it's the word I want to use. A sense of hope. You know, a dawning of the new day. You know, new day generally indicates a new hope, a new beginning. Reassurance. You like that? You know. And Thomas is not in this class this morning, but he would say, well, you know, that's all, you know, opinion. You know, because the scriptures don't actually tell us, as it does in a lot of cases, what it actually means. But I think that's probably a good assumption. So if Jesus is the bright morning star and he is our hope, in what way is he our hope? Salvation. Okay. Okay. If we don't have him, there's really not another choice, is it? Very good.
Well, use all of those wonderful names, the constant, directional, illuminating, and hope.
Okay. Very good.
Sort of touched on it earlier, but he's our bright and shining light in contrast to the
Ah, I like that. Okay. A bright shining last light in contrast to the world. All right, very good. Yes, ma'am.
You're told in Genesis that God placed the planets and the stars intentionally.
Okay. Put them there. All right. The stars and such were placed by God at creation.
So it's, if they've been there this long,
Okay. Ah, very good. Others? Okay. Let's hold that. Let's hold the thoughts about hope, and we'll go on to the next tile, and then maybe we'll put them together toward the end. Depends on how things go. All right. So, in Isaiah 9:6. Hey, Phil. All right. Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Okay. So, Prince of Peace. What does Prince of, fill in the blank, mean? Just as a general term, if something is described as Prince of, what does that indicate? Worldly, okay. Royalty, okay. I like that. Royalty.
Ruler, authority.
Authority, okay.
Not the king, but still ruler over a portion of the kingdom.
Okay, so not the king, but over. All right. I find it interesting that you're focusing on peace as opposed to the blank. So if I were to say Prince of Wales, what does that indicate? So what? Of that country. Okay. Of that, I'll call it kingdom. All right. How about that? Of that kingdom. So if you're in that kingdom, Prince of Wales, that means you are. Okay. I want to go back to Wales. It means you're Welsh, doesn't it? So if you're in the kingdom under the Prince of Wales, you are Welsh. All right. I'm getting there. Just give me a second. So if you're the Prince of Peace and you're in his kingdom, what does that mean? All right, you have peace. All right. So what are the ramifications of that? Okay. And I like the term you said, have. All right, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Whether or not it's have. All right, so before we go any further, define peace. No turmoil. Okay. I want to come back to that too. No fear. Okay. Contentment. Okay. I'm sorry, I heard something, but I didn't. Who said it? All right, you might have been just talking to each other. Okay, all right. What else?
Tranquility, but it's not really that either.
Okay. You say tranquility?
Yeah, but it's not really.
Okay. I don't necessarily agree that you don't think it's tranquility, okay? All right, so. So what? Less worry, okay. I like your turn again, less, as opposed to no. Okay, all right, less. If I were to ask you to make a distinction between external peace and internal peace, would you change some of your definitions then? Or are they the same? Not the same?
They don't totally overlap. You're looking at a Venn diagram, they don't totally overlap.
Okay, all right, so they're this as opposed to this, all right.
See something that looks peaceful when it is not.
Okay, all right.
Internally, we have peace. We have the ability to breathe deep,
All right.
function well.
So you can have one without the other. Okay, though they impact each other. I understand that. So let's talk a little bit about external peace. Absence of conflict, is that external peace? Okay. And then internal peace, I think, is what we have been describing for the most part. Is it not? Tranquility. Let me see what else I wrote down. And I'll get my glasses on so I can see it. Contentment, calmness, without undue stress or anxiety. Okay, does that seem like? All right, so to what extent is Jesus, the Prince of Peace, the source of these definitions of peace? So in other words, as Jesus is the Prince of Peace, how is he the Prince of Peace as it relates to external peace, if you will, the absence of conflict, and also the source of internal peace, that is contentment, tranquility. I'll go back to tranquility, less worry or no worry, lack of anxiety. All right, you want me to rephrase the question? All right, so Jesus is the Prince of Peace. We are supposed to be in his kingdom of peace. I think we make the assumptions that he's the source of that peace. We don't do it in and of ourselves. All right. So in what way is he the source of that peace?
Everything he preaches is contentment and thankfulness, gratitude. If you focus on those positive things, then you don't worry about the other things. You're patient because of his promises.
All right. So the peace that he provides come from us following his directions.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a one-time thing, it's a living thing,
Okay.
ongoing.
All right. So you're telling me that when I come out of the water of baptism, I'm not just suddenly endued with peace.
I think you initially have that. I think it is. You have that. You have a peace knowing that you have done what God wanted.
Okay.
But it grows. It's not, you're not gonna, from that moment on, every moment just
You know.
be,
Yeah. Okay.
But I think there is a peace when you're baptized. I think there is a peace that you get right there, just from, like I said, the newness and the knowing you have made the right decision. You have done the right thing and you have made a good decision. And I think God does give you a peace right then and there, but it's not, it's to grow as you grow.
Okay. Very good. Yes, ma'am.
Matthew 10 says, "Do not think that I came to bring peace, I came to bring a sword."
Yeah, and I was thinking of that when Roseanne was making her comments, because there's this the situation that when some followed Jesus, it caused conflict within their family. Yeah, but we have to believe that the peace that comes from that overcomes those others. But the Christian life is not in and of itself necessarily a peaceful life from an external standpoint.
There's a wonderful song, "Blessed Assurance," and it talks about the foretaste of glory to come. And so we have to look at it as external peace is passive, it's momentary, but our fallback is the peace that comes from God.
Yes, very good.
Okay, let me clarify. I'm not talking about that as a Christian, you have peace and there's no conflict and there's no sadness or frustration or anything. I'm talking about that through my frustration and through my sadness and through all the trials and tribulations I go through, he is the Prince of Peace because of what he is providing me in my next life with my soul.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, but the peace that comes from Him is not just in the eternal. I mean, it's in the here and now, too. I mean, it's available. That's what I want to talk about too. But all right, very good. Others, as it relates to source. So, what scriptures do you think about when you think about peace? We've talked about some. Any others? Okay. Romans 5:1 talks about justified by faith. We have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. All right. And 1 Timothy 22, when he's talking about following authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life. Okay, that's probably more external, if you will, but has internal ramifications. Say again? Yes, peace that passes all understanding. See if I have that somewhere. I probably don't.
And if all possible, live at peace with all men or something.
Yeah, I have that one. Hang on. Romans 12:18. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace or live peaceably with everyone. That's probably the sort of one you're thinking about, at least similar. The unity of the Spirit, usually talking about the church, in the bonds of peace. Titus 3:2 talks about be peaceful and considerate and always be gentle toward everyone. All right. Okay, very good. The peace I leave with you. All right, very good. Would you allow me to use the word content as another word for peace? If we do that, then it says Hebrews 13:5, keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have. 1 Timothy 6:6, but godliness with contentment is great gain. 1 Timothy 6:8, but if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. Philippians 4:11, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. And then if I can do the same thing with anxious, Philippians 4:6, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by God in supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. All right, we've talked about this a little bit, but let's dig into it a little bit more. This peace that we're talking about that comes from Jesus, how do we get it? Yes, sir.
Can I back up at first? Failed to get in. Just looking at the New Testament, Greek irene, you find it used in three different ways throughout the New Testament. It deals with situational, maturational, and also dealing with it in the sense of moving forward in the future. As far as that concerned, it's used in three different ways throughout the New Testament. I know that sounds kind of strange.
Okay, very good. All right. So it's used in different ways. So how do we obtain it? Say again? Relationships. Expand.
Relationship with Him.
Okay. Expand. Say what now?
Through study.
Study. Okay. Prayer.
Drawing closer to Him
Okay.
in the ways that He's instructed us to.
Cast all of your cares upon him, for he cares for you.
Okay. Say it again. I just could not hear you.
Casting all of your cares upon him.
Cast all your cares upon Him. Okay. Study, prayer. Others? This side of the room is really falling behind.
Take action.
Yeah. Practice what you study. Okay, very good. That makes sense in every other aspect of our life, but sometimes we forget it, in our biblical life, to practice what we have learned.
I think you have to have peace in your relationships also.
Relationships. Relationships with,
Well, in order to follow God and have peace, you can't be in a tumultuous relationship with anybody.
okay, all right.
A friend or your mate or whoever. You have
Okay.
harmonious, peaceful,
All right.
contentment.
And that's not so much as how we obtain as it is how we may lose our peace. Okay? Remember that when we get back to that point. Okay? Others? Yes, ma'am.
I think also the relationship with our church family too.
Okay.
Because we know that if there are things we're going to go through that are unpleasant or tragic, we know that we have a support system that will support us and encourage us, just like we will do the same thing. for
Okay.
them.
I like that. And that's what it comes back to the practice part that when we have need, when our I'll call it when our peace is challenged, do we have the inclination to go to others for support? You know, some of us have a tendency to, man up and, handle it ourselves as opposed to looking for help. But yes,
And
that's,
sometimes there are some personalities that lend themselves to be more of a taker than a giver.
yeah.
And so, as part of the church family, what we learn is there is a true give and take there. There are going to be times when we need to take from our church family, but there are times when we need to give to our church family. as well.
Certainly. All right. Very good. Yes, sir.
It appears to me that peace is internal, that we're talking about external. I don't see that as peace. You have to have an intrinsic titillation of calmness in your body. And when you bring things that are external to your inner person, then that's when you have conflict. But that we was talking about, an analogy would be the people that you associate with. If you bring their problems into you, well then you have conflict. But the conflict is inside. That which is outside disturbs the inner peace we have. That which is outside, even though it's conflict, I don't think of it as being non-peaceful. I've said a lot of words and haven't said much, but you see my line of thought.
Yeah. I think it's an excellent line of thought.
We got to bring it in. That's why we keep Christ within us. His influence within us. We don't let that influence come inside of us. That's when we destroy our peace. When in our terms, the devil is within us, our thought processes are reflecting that which is outside of us, not that which is outside of Christ.
You've got so many really good points in there. But you're talking about internal peace and the impact, if we allow it, of external factors to affect that. And while there's very little, I won't say that. Our ability to impact external peace, conflict, all that sort of stuff is somewhat limited. I mean, we saw the scripture, it says, as much as you are able, live peaceably with all men. But you got to realize that external peace takes two. Okay? And if you're willing and the other one is not, you're not going to achieve perfect peace. I mean, we see those who, and this is no criticism, but like pacifists, who will avoid all conflict. They'll just roll over, if you will. Well, that doesn't achieve peace. Not real. Because sometimes there has to be some conflict in order to get things resolved. But the internal peace, that you can have control over, right? And you have to be careful as to what impacts it. So when we move on to that point, what impacts our external peace?
Relationships, people around.
Okay. And we are going to have relationships, are we not? I mean, most of us anyway will have relationships. All right. And some of them are going to have some rough edges. Right? Is that a kind way of putting it? All right. Do we have to allow that to have a negative impact on our internal peace? I can out-quiet you. You know that, right? No. Is it easy? No. Okay. Yes, sir.
The word you used, allow, kind of triggered me because when I think of peace, I kind of think of a body at rest, right? So you do have external forces acting against your peace.
Yeah.
All your different senses, so you've got to take action, right? An equivalent force, if you will, from internal, from Christ, to be able to resist those peace, to remain in peace.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And I guess I want to ask you, I'll ask something this way. And it's one of my off-the-wall type questions and such, but that's okay. Is this internal peace, is it a feeling that just overcomes you? Or is it something you decide? Or is it something entirely different than those? Decided. Okay. You know, and a part of what you were talking about earlier when we're baptized, a lot of that's feeling, isn't it? And that's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just hard to maintain, right? I don't know about y'all, but feelings are hard to maintain, the emotion side of it.
We have the gift of the Holy Spirit,
Yeah,
and there is comfort with that.
I have no doubt.
And it's not all, I mean, yes, it is something as you mature, as you grow in Christ, as you can access that peace more. So it's there, it's provided, but we have to study, we have to grow, we have to know how to allow that to
I like that very much. And
dwelling.
while it's in my notes toward the end of the class, I want to do it now. Remember the first name we talked about, the bright morning star. We talked about being hope. You know, and we have that hope when we're baptized, right? And that becomes that foundation. Can we have true peace without that foundation? Would that foundation give us peace? You say yes? See, I think not in and by itself. See, I think it becomes the decide, and it becomes the study, and becomes the build, like you talked about. You know, I don't know if you use that word, but you know, that you have to develop. But you can't have one without starting with the other, I think. Do you think?
You have to be in Christ to begin with.
Yeah.
If that peace is based in Christ, you have that assurance.
Yes. And without that, you don't, like I say, you don't have anything to build on. You know, but just having that assurance without the study, the deciding, the practice, you don't have it. I saw a hand.
I was agreeing with what Joe said about the decision. When the decision is like the song, I have decided to follow Jesus. Well, with that decision, it does well up. It's not something that comes out from outside, from the world. After the decision, it does come from inside, welling out.
Okay, right. I mean, I agree with you. It is not an external whatever. Yes, sir.
This may not be
That's all right. Spit it out anyway.
may not be a good analogy, but it seems to work for me. I think peace is, as we discussed, I'm thinking peace is like oxygen. In order to have peace, we must have action. We must breathe. Just take a deep breath.
Okay.
Let it out. It requires action to require peace.
Yeah.
The action of breathing. Our lives, we have to do those things that we need to do to acquire peace. And the path that we need to follow is Christ.
Give me the, very good. So we have to take action in order to get the peace. And, you know, and so we could say, I'm gonna get in trouble, but that's okay. If we don't have peace, is it because we haven't taken the appropriate actions? Yes, ma'am.
There's a song that goes, peace like a river. And
My favorite, yes.
it's ever changing, it's always moving. If you can't move with it, you can't grow with it, you don't have it.
Okay. Peace like a river, but, okay. Yes, ma'am, I come right back.
Well, for example, people that maybe they grew up in church, they were, like I said, they grew up in a family, going to church. Maybe they were baptized at some point in their life. And then when tragedy or
Correct.
It's gonna be a rose garden and nothing bad is ever gonna happen. It doesn't say that. But yet people, I think that. They think, well, I've been a Christian, well, why doesn't God love me? This terrible thing happened, why doesn't God love me? You know, he's supposed to love me, and he's, you know, well, he does love you. And so there comes a point, you know, it's like, it is a decision. You've got to say, I'm going to believe God's promises. God did not promise that my life, that nothing bad would ever happen to me. God didn't promise that, but he said he'd be there to help us.
Okay.
And, but, so that is a decision. You have to, I'm going to take it by faith. I'm going to put my hope and trust in God, and he's going to help me get through this versus those people. And to me, those, you know, that's where you get that peace. That's where you're having to just depend on God because you can't do it. And you're having to put your faith and trust in that. That's where that peace is. Whereas the other people, it's like they're blaming God for allowing whatever tragedy, whatever bad thing that happened in your life. They're blaming God, and I think they don't have that peace because they're not accepting the promises. They're just saying, you know, what their concept of what, you know, what they thought. And maybe that's lack of study on what the Bible does say. I don't know. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Or
you have-
practice or understanding.
you have
Okay.
people that are, you know, grew up in church, were baptized, and I'm not saying they're not Christians, but I'm saying
I understand.
somewhere along the way, maybe they don't have that.
Okay. We'll come back to that in just a second. Yes, sir.
It seems to me that peace has to be a desired state. So.
Okay. A desired state.
You have to desire peace. It just doesn't come natural.
Okay. Does not come natural. I agree with that.
So when you talk about external things that may or may not result in peace, I think about my own life when I think about when I'm less peaceful is when I let a lot of garbage into my life. That garbage might be work, that garbage may be friends that I shouldn't be running around with, that may be social media that I should have my head stuck in for too long and it's distracting my Christian walk and my faith. So that results in less peace in my life. So I have to make a decision. I want to be more peaceful. What are those things I take out of my life and bring back in that create that peace? So from an external perspective, you got to bring that in. And that's bringing it through study, through relationship with your Christian family, those kind of things. But I think it's a desired state that your external factors can certainly influence quite a bit.
To add on to that, I keep going back to Psalm 46:10 in my head, which is, "Be still and know that I am Lord."
Okay.
And I think one of the ways that we get peace is it's something we have to practice and we have to learn. It comes over time, but as we face things in our lives that are out to rob our peace and our contentment, we have to remember that God's timing is not our timing. God's sight is certainly not our sight. And where we can only see from our human brains and minds what we can see, God sees everything from the beginning to eternity. And we have to have trust in Him that even though we may not understand what's going on right now, we have peace that He does and He's in control.
Okay. Let's spend a few minutes and go to what I call the practical. What are the actual day-to-day things that cost us our peace?
Social media.
Okay. Well, I may come back to that. Others?
I think a lot of it is things we worry about, things we don't have any control over.
Okay. We'll start with worry. How many of us worry? Okay. How do you define worry? How do you define worry?
Anxiety, thoughts are dwelling on, you know, the possible outcomes, you know, whatever the situation is. And
All right.
Fearful.
So what's the difference between worry and, let me find it, considering options, planning, making decisions?
I think after you make the decision, you trust that God is there and that things will work out.
Okay. So are you saying that the process you go through in making a decision, is that worry? See, I'm going to say it's not, and that's just for me, all right? See, worrying, I think, is spending time on something you can't do anything about. So what?
Proper planning
It's different from worrying. All right. I mean, we give time thinking about things we can't change. We spend time thinking about things that may happen, but not necessarily will happen. Okay. And so I don't want you to think, when I say we're not to worry, that doesn't mean we shouldn't plan. We shouldn't consider options for the future. But as Joe said, when we decide, then we quit giving this unnecessary thought to those. We are content. So worrying does it. I'll ask this, and do we sometimes enjoy worrying?
I think some people do.
Yeah. There was a lady in another congregation, we had this similar discussion. And she says, I worry when my children leave the house, and I keep worrying until they come back. I said, okay. Does that cause you to do anything different? Like, do you take some action based on your worry? No, don't take any action. I just worry. And really what it got down to is she just saw that as her role as a mother, to worry, but without any benefit. Okay.
Worry, I think, has an element of uncertainty. If we are sure we want something to happen, if we're sure it's going to happen, we're probably not going to worry about it. But when we're not sure that it's going to happen, or it may not happen the way we want it to, there's that uncertainty. That's where I think worry.
Okay. And worry is a sign of what?
That you don't trust God.
A lack of trust. Okay. All right. And one thing is, when we are worrying, what are we not doing? We're not praying. We're not planning. We're not doing. Yeah. All right. Only got a couple more. Oh, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
We all have things that make us concerned.
Okay.
I think what you're trying to go to is fretting. Fretting doesn't accomplish anything, and in some cases, it's very deleterious to us, physically and mentally. And when we have a problem, we think about it and decide what we're going to do and ask our ears on Him. We should be able to go on past that. And I think maturing as a Christian helps you to learn to do that. And I don't think the peace and calm comes by osmosis. It's a practice
Yeah.
and learning to trust in God.
Very good. I like the word fretting. And that's why when I started, I tried to define what worrying is, because we have a different context of what it is. And so I think fretting is a good word to isolate that part of the thought process from planning, decision making, and things of that sort. Very good. And I had a thought and I lost it. Okay. Worrying.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay. Does
When Peter was going toward Christ on the water, and all of a sudden he started to lose his faith, and he started worrying.
yeah.
He started to say,
Fear. Yeah, fear. And again, it's a lack of trust. All right. We're in the last minute. So what other thoughts do you have in that regard? All right. So maybe you'll give some thought, some planning, some decision making this week about your thought process. Are you worrying too much? Are you not properly planning for those things that may come up, such that you're not fretful, that you're not anxious, about those things, so that you can have that internal peace. And when you have that internal peace built on hope, all right, then you can expand that and have more external peace around you, as to the extent that you can contribute to that. All right. Thank you very much. That's our time. Appreciate it. Appreciate your participation and contribution.